Hey, welcome to Broad Meets World. Woo! So we are recording our what would you call this?
Season 1 recap episode. We finally finished season 1 of Boy Meets World.
We're doing it together. We're here.
We're so excited. I actually came out to Los Angeles to record with Ceej this time.
You guys don't know this, but maybe you do, maybe you don't. But we live in opposite sides of the coast.
Performing this podcast on opposite sides of the coast has been a feat, to say the least.
It really has. So the fact that we're here together, we did it just for you guys. And you're getting to see it live. So,
yeah, I'm so excited.
It'll be here. We'll definitely share little bits of it. But yeah, we thought this would be a cool thing to do. So yeah.
Yeah, and if you guys have any questions, obviously our comments, reviews, anything like that, feel free to post up on our social medias or on our...
You guys get to iTunes, just see it as is. Yeah. Getting into it. What up, bruh?
What up, bruh?
And welcome to Bruh Meets World.
When it's Bruh Meets World.
Your Boy Meets World fan cast. I'm Ceej.
And I'm your boy, Tony Curtis.
All right. TC, Tony Kurt.
Hey.
Where you at? What's going on?
I'm super excited about finishing this season. This is a great season. I actually went through most of the episodes earlier today just to kind of refresh myself. The show's evolved so much in just one season.
It is a completely different show from one.
Yeah, and I think that's what really kind of blew me away when I went and looked through the episodes, was just seeing how the pilot and the season finale feel like it's two different shows.
Yeah, they're completely different shows. Yeah. I mean, you had a problem with the finale, and I agree with you. It ends kind of on a note that's not the greatest, but I mean, it is what it is.
Yeah, the season as a whole, I feel, especially compared to other TGIF shows of the time,
yes,
feels like it ages really well and it's great.
It's kind of all over the place if we're going to be honest. But either way, so as we usually do, you guys are getting to see how we make things. And usually before we get into the episode, TC and I talk about whatever is pertinent or important in our lives in the moment, and
the only thing to talk about it right now,
Cardi B.
Yo.
If you have not listened to the Cardi B album,
we've been listening to it now on repeat.
Invasion
all
of
day.
Privacy is just oh my God.
I'm living my best life.
I mean, honestly, I was not expecting this episode to be, this album to be what it was.
Well, no, and I was telling you earlier that, how I was kind of, personally, I felt disappointed when Nicki Minaj came out with her first debut album compared to the underground stuff, because I thought she came so hard, but Cardi B comes so hard in this album.
Yes.
And every song sounds like it's a strip club song.
Yeah, it really does. If you haven't listened to it, do yourself a favor. By the time this comes out, it would have been out for a week. And it's just it is a early 2000s meets current contemporary bop. Every song, you're just I remember this feeling of just being hood and ratchet, but at the exact same time, I'm just she just makes you stick your tongue out and be a little bit more.
This is the soundtrack to the Players Club remake that no one asked for.
You're an idiot. But yeah, so, I mean, again, we honestly, when we met, we were yo, have you been listening to this album?
Yeah, we immediately just started jamming out to it.
My entire day was this album, just track after track. I was I like this. Oh, I like this. Damn.
Ugly face damn.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I was saying too how I wasn't really hip to Cardi B, her backstory or anything, and just listening to this album, I gained mad respect. I had to look into her. And
this album is A1, so Invasion of Privacy, Cardi B's debut album. If you haven't listened to it yet, do yourself a favor.
Yeah, but make sure you got insurance, because your whole speaker system's gonna set on fire. It's out of control.
So, are you ready to get into this?
Yeah, let's dive in.
All right, let's do this. So, we're calling this episode The Report Card. Let's talk about our origin story. Let's talk about the first episode.
The first episode of the show.
Of our
Well,
show.
I will say that, we've gone through a lot to try to get this podcast out there.
We went through so much. You guys don't even know.
I had no idea how difficult it was to record the podcast. If you guys have been with us this long, you've endured all of our audio issues, and I apologize for all of it. We've just been figuring this out as we go.
The first few episodes, like, I feel like constantly we're like, sorry about the audio. It's like really bad. We're doing what we can. So if you listen past the pilot, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. We appreciate it.
A lot.
But I actually went back and listened to our pilot episode recently, and I heard something that I haven't heard just because not only was it the pilot, but it was also like our first time diving into the show, and we just had so much joy and love and just reverence for the show in our first episode, which obviously as we get through the season, like we're getting to the more specific things of each episode, but that pilot, when we were just talking about the show as a whole, you could just tell that we just love the show so much, and it's true, we do.
We do.
Yeah.
That's like a legit thing. So yeah, we honestly, I thank you guys for sharing this joy with us. It's funny because I live in LA, and one of the things that is common in LA is for people to have a podcast. And
really?
One of the things I hate more than anything is to be like, well, I have a podcast.
Sure.
It's about Boy Meets World. But when I tell people, they're like, oh my God, I love that show. It's like fantastic.
It stands the test of time. Unlike any show from that era, really.
Did you see during the march, I think you sent it to me, where the march for like against guns, March for Our Lives, with teachers, like there was the whole idea of like teachers having guns, and there was a sign that was like, I don't remember Mr. Feeney having a gun, and it's just like that's how much this show means to our generation.
Yeah.
People like refer to it,
and he right.
I mean, he right. Mr. Feeney did have that Nerf gun, which I thought of, but like
was never a gun episode of Boy Meets World.
No, I said the Nerf gun.
Yeah. But as far as just like there being, because the Family Matters had a gun episode. Family Matters had that and recycle gun program episode.
So did Fresh Prince.
Yeah, Fresh Prince did have a gun episode. Apparently only black sitcoms from the 90s could have gun episodes.
I mean, if we're being honest, I don't think Feeney was ready to tackle that kind of like racial inequality.
Well, you know, Philadelphia apparently is a blackless world in Boy Meets World.
As of now, when we get to college, there's some color.
We're getting there.
Okay, so in this next segment that we're going to do, this is the honor roll.
Honor roll, which is superlatives.
Yeah, superlatives. Yeah. These are the best parts of the episodes. We'll be having clips and little things in the final production that correlate with all of this. But yeah, so let's get in some of the best. So, from the season 1, TC, what is your best episode?
Best episode, not favorite episode.
Best
episode.
The best episode.
I personally think that the best episode of this entire season, to me, is Alternative Friends.
Dude, that's what I wrote down! Which, by the way, you guys don't know this, but, like, I just wrote my answer separately. And we're getting honest reception. Yeah, Alternative Friends.
Alternative Friends. It's the best episode. It's just, not only is it about Corey learning to accept people who are different and challenging his worldview, which is something we've discussed that's a powerful thing in every episode, but it's just Corey and Topanga's first kiss.
Corey and Topanga get their first kiss.
You're not gonna, like, kiss me now, are you?
Would it be your first kiss?
Hey, don't come near me.
Because it would be interesting if all your life you remembered that your first kiss happened when you thought you looked weird. Wouldn't it?
No, it wouldn't be interesting. Get away.
Because then you'd know. It's not what you look like on the outside that matters. It's what kind of person you are.
You shouldn't kiss somebody you're not married to.
It's when the show really starts to feel like something familiar. Like we talked about in the beginning of this series, we're kind of dealing with a different show. We kind of feel a little weird about what we're seeing because it's like, oh, I don't remember Boy Meets World being like this because it's very father-son centric, and then you have the Feeney thing. But when Topanga comes in,
it's like, that's Boy Meets World.
You're like, oh my God, my heart.
Yeah,
exactly.
And just them having their first kiss and it being so, and that iconic moment of that white Don King hair that he has when he's getting that kiss.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's just, to me, it's the most memorable episode of the season. It's the most, as far as changing the course of the show, like you said, I think it's the most significant episode. I think there were great contenders for this award, or this superlative, I guess. But to me, yeah.
Yeah, no, I love that you put that, because I'm not going to lie, both of my best and my worst episodes were kind of taken... just logically, like, I looked at the grading system. Because, like, I was like, I feel very strongly about a lot of these episodes.
Yeah.
But I wanted to be like, all right, if I can't decide, what does the grade say? And we both gave this Alternative Friends episode 4 a 100.
Yeah.
Like...
well, let me ask you, what other episodes were in the running for you?
So, they're both Topanga themed. Like,
Yeah.
The other one that the only one that I would say would be second place was Boy Meets Girl.
Really? Okay, okay.
What was your second place?
You know, it's funny. After going back and reviewing the season, I think, I think it's called Teacher's Pet.
Teacher's Pet. Oh, with Anne Frank.
The whole, and don't get me wrong, the episode had issues that we discussed.
Yeah.
But still, I was just like, wow, this is the most bruh.
Yeah.
Like...
So we're going to get into that later. I don't want to get into that just right now. But, yeah, that's a very, very good point. And I didn't really do it, but maybe we'll do it with season 2. But I do think we should pick our favorite bruh episodes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I focused, and I think we both prepared for, like, our best Boy Meets World. But I think we've grown a lot this season.
Sure.
Like, even our intro's different. Like, everything's completely... Like, we started off completely different, not knowing where we would end up.
Yeah.
So I really do appreciate it. Next superlative will be Most Improved Character. What do you have? What is your answer?
Me?
Yeah.
Gosh. I'm going to say Sean.
Dude, are we on the same wavelength? Yeah, I think we are. Yeah. Just so you guys know, the reason why we started this whole entire podcast is because TC and I are, like, usually, like, when it comes to television, we're, like, here.
Yeah, we are. Well, and here's the thing. I just feel like, don't get me wrong, I thought Topanga evolved a lot. I thought we saw some evolution from Eric. But I felt like by the end of season 1, I was in love with Sean the way that we're supposed to love Sean. Whereas I didn't feel like we had gotten to that place yet with the other characters.
I mean, even Corey. But also, the question was most improved character.
Yeah, overall.
And I feel that Sean went from the one-dimensional sidekick character to having kind of the most backstory outside of Corey.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I mean, definitely when we get into that Cherry Bomb episode.
Cherry Bomb episode is very important.
Gosh, which again was almost a contender for me for best, because even though we had so much issue with it, it's as important for Sean's story as the Alternative Friends is for Topanga.
It's as important for the series.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because
absolutely.
it kind of put Sean on the path of being the kind of troubled best friend of Corey.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's just really... I was thinking, it was like, do we just become best friends? All right. Favorite Feeny lesson. What was your favorite Feeny lesson?
My favorite Feeny lesson of the... You know what? I think my favorite Feeny moment is actually... from the last episode, and it's when he's talking about, it's the very last scene of the last episode, where they're planting Corey's plant.
Why don't you take a break and help me plant this?
You're putting my puny plant in the ground?
Your plant, though immature and undeveloped, has within it the potential to grow and flower. With the help of a proper gardener.
And the reason why I love that is just because to me that's just such a symbolism for the whole show. Like, of what Feeny's relationship is with Corey. And I just think about Corey's journey and just everything that we see him do. And to me, that's my favorite of the Feeny lessons, even though there's some great lessons throughout the season.
So my answer to this was actually during the Fugitive episode. The Fugitive episode... because it comes directly from Feeny, and then also the imagery that Feeny uses with the canvas. It's one of the very few lessons we get that's not directly by the fence.
Sure.
And it's also, to me, I don't know, I think it was like one of the most relevant lessons to me of the season that I still use as an adult.
Yeah.
Which is that it's really easy to tear something once, like this small little infraction.
Yeah.
Like the little symbolism with the canvas of like, the canvas is tough and it can or endure almost anything. But one little snip, one little cut to it, and it's vulnerable.
Yeah.
I often paint on the weekends. Very strong material. Difficult to rip. Give it a try. Go on. Of course, rugged as it is, even the smallest snip. And you see, Mr. Hunter, once the integrity has been breached, even the strongest fabric can unravel. Even the strongest friendship.
And that was something that really applied to me as an adult, and I think is a lesson that we should all really take to heart. Because I agree with you on the final one of like Corey's journey, but my favorite lesson that is kind of relevant now is the importance of maintaining the integrity of a friendship.
Sure.
So, yeah.
Can I also say that one of the runner-ups I had for a favorite Feeney moment or lesson didn't actually come from Feeney. It came from the episode where Eric talks to the kids in school.
Oh my god, dude.
Yeah, and Eric, there's one point where Topanga's like, she has this crush on Eric, and she's like, I don't have to be smart. And then he goes, you're gonna have to be.
Look, Corey told me about you, and he told me you're very smart.
I don't have to be smart.
No. Look, you're gonna have to be smart because there are a lot of guys out there that won't take Aura for an answer.
What do you mean?
I mean, you've known me for like 5 minutes, and you think you like me because you thought I was cute, and who could blame you? But a real relationship is based on so much more than looks. And if you're old enough to have these feelings, then you should know that.
And that moment where he talks to her about like what it means to be in a mature relationship, I was like, this is a great Feeney moment that doesn't come from Feeney. The other one still wins out for me overall, but that was still one that really came to mind.
That's a really good one.
Yeah.
Okay. So, and then it comes to favorite clips of the season. During this point in time, you've heard a few of them, but TC, what are some of your favorite?
I have some great ones here. Well, one of my first ones is from the pilot, where at the end of at the episode where Corey's talking about Romeo and Juliet, Feeney kind of gives him this whole lesson on love.
I live on the other side of the fence from you, Corey. And it's impossible not to face in your direction every once in a while and notice the people in the next yard. And through the years, I've got to know them. It is apparent that they are fine individuals, but their real strength comes from being a family. And do you know why they're a family, Corey? Because at one time, a man and a woman realized that they loved each other and pursued the unlimited potential of what may come from that love. And here you are. There is no greater aspiration than to have love in our lives, Mr. Matthews. Romeo knew it and died for it. Others know it and prepare salads.
And to me, it obviously makes a huge impression on Corey because later on in the series, when him and Topanga on their Long Walk to Pittsburgh episode, I know we're getting ahead of ourselves. If there was a jar, I'd put a
Dude, the jar, which by the way, we haven't talked about that jar in a while, but you definitely owe some money to
I
that
know,
jar.
I'm constantly jumping ahead. But there's this huge reference to how Corey and Topanga feel like they are the Romeo and Juliet, and I feel like the reason why Corey relates so strongly to the story is because of how Feeney taught it to him in the pilot. So I think it's a great moment. At the end of episode 2, Eric is coming home from work, and he's just like, I don't know how he does it.
Bagging groceries, chasing carts, price checks, spill on aisle 7. Oh, it's a nightmare. I only worked half a shift today. I don't know how he does it.
Who?
Dad, 12-hour days, never sits, Eats his lunch standing up, never takes a break. It's like he's not human. It's like he's something.
It's like he's Superman.
Huh?
Superman's my dad.
He looks outside, and Alan's painting the fence that he let Corey, like, go, avoid so he could go play with his friends.
That's a really, really good one. This is kind of like out of order in the way that you've been doing it. But one of my favorite clips is when first of all, we know how much I love Amy.
Of course.
Amy's so good in this season. And I hope she kind of remains as strong of a character as she is in the first season.
I don't think so, but...
I know, like, that's kind of what makes me sad is, like, when I think back on it, I was like, I don't think Amy gets the credit that she would get nowadays and that she deserves overall. But whenever Amy's talking to Alan, and really, because Alan's, like, surprisingly, Alan's the emotional one.
Yeah.
And Alan's like, I feel this way about something that our 13-year-old kid did.
And Amy always schools him on how to just be a better parent.
Exactly. She's like, let's take a moment and really think about where he's coming from.
Yeah.
And I think that's shown in the episode where Corey, it's the basketball episode where, like, Corey just is like, you forgot about me.
The B team of life.
Team of life.
Yeah.
He's like, you forgot about me. You guys don't really care what I'm doing. And Alan just is like immediately, oh, you're not, Corey's overreacting. And at the exact same time, she goes, oh, is he? And we get into that.
Why don't you want me to go up and talk to him?
Because I think you and I should talk first.
What about? Corey's had a basketball disappointment. He's overreacting. I'm going to go tell him that.
Is he overreacting?
What does that mean? He's right. I spend more time with Eric. I don't care as much about him.
No, I just think that Corey is going through middle pause.
Is that a scientific term?
Yeah. I mean, this week, Eric has girl problems, Morgan needs to be a princess, and there's a kid in the middle that didn't get hurt.
Because there's 3 of them now. We let ourselves get outnumbered.
Yep, when there were 2 of them, we got them covered man to man.
Now we're in his own defense, and Corey's problem got by us.
What's the game plan, coach?
Full court press, double team Corey.
Go team, go.
Yeah, so that's mine. Do you have another?
Yeah, I have a few. I mean, I don't know how... there's one episode, and actually a lot of my clips came from the first, few episodes.
She wrote, still counts.
Episode 3 at the end. This is the episode where Alan keeps Corey up late to watch the no-hitter game.
Oh, my God.
And at the end of the episode, Feeney has this great monologue where he talks about how... the president was going to announce the end of the war, and he wanted to stay up with his dad to watch it, but his dad said to go to bed. And then Feeney's like...
What do you suppose I learned in school that day?
I know this has got to be a biggie like the Magna Carta or something. I have no idea what you learned that day.
Neither do I. You see, Mr. Matthews, education is not about obscure facts and little test scores. Education is about the overall effect of years of slow absorption, concepts, philosophies, approaches to problem solving. The whole process is so grand, all-encompassing, that it really can't be threatened by the occasional late-night no-hitter. It is important that a boy spend time with his father.
But how do you know that? Your dad didn't let you stay up with him.
That's precisely why I do know.
I just thought the way he talks about education was just a really cool
God, that is a
thing.
really good episode.
Yeah.
I can't remember what we gave that grade, but, honestly, that episode, and just, I think when we get into it and when you and I discuss it, it's just like a learning... When you are in the American education system, learning lessons, and we grew up in Florida, taking tests is passing tests is what it's all about. But for Feeney to be honestly, part of learning is life and absorbing the world around you and learning from that. I think it's such a good lesson that we just honestly don't place value on anymore, and we really should.
Yeah, I mean, to me, it was just one of those things that I was just like, I value Boy Meets World because of the relationship they show between students and teachers.
Yes. I think we all do. If we're being honest, I think one of the things that separates Boy Meets World from most other shows is there's this intimate relationship with a boy and his teacher.
And you know what's really interesting? Because me and you just watched Zach Morris's Trash.
Zach Morris's Trash!
Shout out. That on Saved by the Bell, Zach never had a close relationship with Mr. Belding. He was always trying to pull one over on him.
And Mr. Belding kind of like he's kind of fascinated with Zach. You know what I mean? It's like he kind of admires Zach.
I think he just always wanted to be the cool kid. So whenever he sees Zach, he's like, all right, well, whatever. But there's no real respect between them.
Yeah.
The way we see
There's
Corey
no
and Phoebe.
respect.
Yeah, at all. And I don't know of a show, and maybe I just didn't watch it, but like...
Honestly, I can't think of a single show. I could be wrong, and if we're wrong, please give us...
Welcome Back, Kotter.
In our lifetime. And even with Welcome Back, Carter, like, I will not lie, I've never seen a single episode
It's actually hilarious.
But is it, like, built on the reputation, or sorry, the relationship?
I will say yeah, it's like these troubled, like, hood kids, which aren't really hood. I mean, they're the most comical kids in the class. But he, as a former...
John Travolta.
As a former...
What are you talking about?
Mr. Gotta!
Yeah.
But as a former class clown, he's able to relate to them and help them to, like, progress and actually learn lessons. But again, that's from the 70s. I don't know from our era if there is a show that's similar to this.
I honestly can't think of it. And, I mean, I feel that most of the shows that our generation admire and give credit to that involve a teacher figure are usually ones where the teacher figure cared about the kids. So, you get Mr. Feeney from Boy Meets World.
Yeah.
You get Miss Frizzle from the Magic School Bus.
Oh, yeah.
And even if you want to put Mr. Rogers into that thing, he wasn't like a teacher, but point being is, this was someone who...
There's heart.
They talked to the kids like they were people.
Yes.
And so many TV shows, if you want to take Zach Morris or Saved by the Bell, for example, so many TV shows, the teacher is like either a force to be dealt with, or there's someone who's like, they're not buying into what the kid's selling, or like they're very...
Or they just talk, like, even if you think about, like, Mr. Cooper or, like, Steve Hightower, the Steve Harvey Show, it was just, like,
I'm smarter, you're dumb, Matilda.
Yeah, it was just always talking down to them in a way, whereas Feeney was just like, no, you're smart enough to figure this out, I'm just going to give you some time.
Exactly, and they showed the kids something new, in a way that didn't make the child feel insignificant.
Yeah.
And I think that that's what makes Boy Meets World so memorable, is no matter what, you understand that Feeney cared about Corey.
Well, not only that, I feel like what's so great about Boy Meets World and what we all kind of respect about it is that Feeney allows these kids to figure out life's problems on their own. And I think because in general that's how we as humans learn, we relate to that in a way that we don't relate to these lessons that are force fed to us.
It's not someone preaching to you.
Not at all.
Or force feeding you, which is a great way of putting that. This show is about Feeney being like, look, all the pieces are there, you figure it out. And not in a way that like most baby boomers are like, hey, here's everything, figure it out on your own, and I'm just going to leave you and judge you when you don't get it correctly.
Yeah.
Feeney's very much one of those person who's like, it's not that all the pieces are there and you put it together. It's like, I know you well enough to know that you're smart enough to put this puzzle together. And when you can't put it together, did I make a mistake? Is it something that I could be doing better? Or is it something that you're honestly not pushing yourself enough with, and I will encourage you to take that extra step?
A great example of that is the episode 6 that the lost episode that we just recorded, where Feeney gives, out a test to Corey and another third seat kid.
I remember him.
And Feeney basically...
Fourth seat kid.
Fourth seat kid, yeah. Where Feeney's basically is like, you know what? With that student, I could have done better as a teacher.
Mr. Lewis.
Mr. Lewis, yeah. I could have done better as a teacher. Whereas with you, Corey, you simply aren't paying attention. So I think the fact that he's able to know the difference...
Yeah. Exactly. No, I think that's really important. Okay, let's move on to detention. It's detention time.
Detention.
All right, so detention's clearly going to be things that we didn't like about this season.
Yeah.
And that's going to mainly encase the worst episode. And what is the worst episode of this season for you? Because I'm really excited because I know grading wise which one you gave the worst grade to, but at the exact same time I'm interested to see which one you selected as the worst episode.
Well, I'll tell you this, that there's 2 episodes that immediately come to mind.
There are 2 episodes that honestly, if you listen to our entire season, there are 2 episodes that were the worst graded by us.
One of them being Spelling Bee.
Yep.
Which was not about spelling.
It wasn't, and we talked about that, but yeah.
And the other is it's What a Wonderful Night.
It's a Wonderful Night. Those are the 2. Those are the 2.
Worst 2. I will say, the worst episode of the season, for me, is It's a Wonderful Night.
Which is the one you gave the grade to.
Yeah.
You were like,
it's a shit episode. Don't watch it. Just move right on. It doesn't matter.
So it's funny because I chose Killer Bee.
Killer Bee.
No, it's actually like Spelling Bee or something like that.
Yeah.
We named our episodes called Killer Bee. But that episode is the one that I chose. But I chose that episode because It's a Wonderful Night has Jason in it. And I'm like, your saving grace was Jason. You gave that episode the lowest episode of the season. That is the one that you were just like, this makes no sense. There's no reason to have it.
Well, and I think the other thing about It's a Wonderful Night is that it came right off of The
Fugitive.
The Fugitive, which was such a huge episode that, like, to go from a big episode to that episode, I was like, no, I can't.
And they ignore almost every lesson we learn.
Every single lesson. And I think that's what made me so mad. If I had seen that episode in a different placement in the season, maybe I would have not given it such a low grade.
I agree with
you. The girls that were in the episode, those terrible high school girls.
Terrible people.
Corey and Sean trying to hide the fact that they're watching a movie from Feeney while he's in the room. I still can't get over it. I still won't. No, that alone, worst episode. That alone.
So again, for me, the Spelling Bee episode is terrible. It's worse.
It's not even about spelling. Again,
it's not about spelling.
It's about Geography Bee.
It is about geography. You have the fact that Jason's in the other one. And Jason provides some kind of comedy and a little bit of lightheartedness. The Spelling Bee episode is it's pure trash, in my opinion. There's no redeeming aspects of the Spelling Bee one, and it's literally just Jason. Jason is in the It's a Wonderful Life one, and I feel that if you put in the It's a Wonderful Night anywhere else in the season, it wouldn't be graded as harshly. Yeah. Whereas Killer Bee, you can put the beginning, the middle, the end, and you're still just like, why did we do this episode? That's my opinion.
Yeah, it's pretty unredeemable. I don't know. Like, I'm trying to...
It's honestly just, I mean, like, you have your answer, I have mine, but it's funny because there were literally 2 episodes.
And you know what's funny I think about both of those is that I think the plots of both of those episodes are extremely derivative. Like, when we were watching It's a Wonderful Night, I was like, oh, this is the same as that Corey Haim and Corey Feldman movie, License to Drive. And with Killer Bee, I was like, oh, I've seen this Spelling Bee scenario in so many sitcoms.
Exactly.
So I think the episodes where they're willing to be more creative and take more risk and develop the characters more are the ones that we tend to...
The ones that feel the least CBS sitcom. You know, like, it's like
100%.
The ones where it's just like, someone in the writing room wrote this episode.
Yeah.
Whereas those 2 episodes feel the most like someone literally just went like, what's the sitcom trope? Let's just add that to this. Those episodes feel like filler episodes. Yeah. Absolutely.
While we're in detention, can I ask you, do you have a worst character?
I honestly was not prepared for that
I
question.
know, that's what I'm throwing it at.
No, but I like that question. You give yours, and then I'll give you a response, because...
Morgan.
Oh, really?
Hands down, Morgan.
Morgan's your worst character.
I don't think she adds anything to the show. I think you could Control-Alt-Delete her from this entire season, and the show would roughly be the same.
All right, you're not wrong. Honestly, if we remove every scene from Morgan... Like, I feel like this would be like one of those YouTube series. Or like, what is it? Garfield was out Garfield, where you just like, you remove Morgan from the entire season, it probably wouldn't change.
Because she only serves as a plot device for the most part,
yes.
And all of the exposition that she gives could easily be given to Amy, and it would still work roughly the same, other than Black, no trades back, which I still don't completely agree with. Yeah, I don't know. I just felt like she didn't really bring anything to the show.
So someone just pointed out, which is very true, Caroline, which I agree with. She's like, and they tried to delete her for what, an entire season.
Which is true.
Yeah, I mean, like...
So even the show knew that she was pointless for a while, and then when they brought her back, she was still when they brought her back, she only serves as a purpose to show you that, Amy and Alan are still raising kids.
They still have a child.
They still have another child.
We didn't forget. We didn't just, Judy Winslow this.
Yes, yeah.
And they don't have a kid anymore.
R.I.P. Judy. Like, she was
honestly,
missing.
If they just were like, Judy died, or Judy was kidnapped, and they did a very special episode, I feel like it would have been so much more respectable than to just be like, what are you talking about? We only had 2 kids. And everyone's like, but I watched the first season. They're like, but did you?
Judy was the Black Barb. Judy was Barb before Stranger Things, before it took off. All the Black community was like, what
Judy
about
went
Judy?
swimming like once. And
yeah.
it was like,
what about Judy?
Justice for Judy.
Justice for Judy.
Justice for Judy. Yeah, so honestly, when you say worst... I'm gonna say that, hold on, wait 1 second. Only good Morgan line of the entire series was when she said, that was a really long time out.
Which is true. Well,
we haven't gotten there yet, but at the exact same time, that is fantastic.
But can I also, Caroline, thank you so much for pointing that out. One of the things I really respect about Boy Meets World, and I hope to see it more in this season, because we definitely see it in the later seasons, is that they become so much more
self-aware.
Meta. Yeah.
They were meta before meta was a thing.
Meta in subtle ways, and then after the Scream came out, they were like, balls to the wall, let's just do this.
Well, because Scream was nothing but meta.
Yeah.
Have you seen, there's a whole theory about how, like, we were in postmodern cinema for a while, and now we're in meta-modern cinema. And meta-modern cinema is all about acknowledging your place in pop culture, but at the exact same time criticizing your place in pop culture.
Yeah, which Scream does so wonderfully.
Yeah, exactly.
And then Boy Meets World, there's just a lot of times when you see that throughout the series of even like, I think it's the series finale, where Corey's talking to, I think it's his little brother at the time.
He's like, Boy Meets World, I just got that. Yeah. He's like, that's what that means.
Or like when Eric goes to Hollywood to star and like Kid gets acquainted with the universe.
That is a whole stretch, and I'm really excited for that episode.
Yeah,
because now in a meta world, I wonder how good that episode holds up.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, so when we're talking about worst characters, though, what are we talking about? Because if we're going to be honest, worst character, I'm going to say Alan. Alan is a terrible person. When he is an emotional father. He is like, wait. Let me get my point out. And then we're going to do that. All I'm going to say is, in terms of his relationship with the family, Alan is overly emotional. He projects onto Corey all the time. He treats Amy like just a sidekick when
I don't appreciate that at all.
Like, it's just like, it's one of those things where it's like, I'm not saying that Alan's terrible. I'm just saying, like, in the series, Alan is the one where I feel like we spend the most time being like, what is your deal, dude? Like, I mean, even Eric is kind of one note, but he's one note in a way that doesn't, like, really...
He's a kid.
Yeah, it doesn't degrade the other characters. Whereas Alan's just like, yo, Amy, where my meal at? Yo, Amy, like...
Yo, Amy, clean up this cantaloupe that I'm throwing on the floor.
And that's my point. It's just like, I'm not saying that he's the worst overall, but I'm just saying that...
I really disagree with this, only because I feel like there are lots of different examples throughout the season of Alan trying his hardest to be a good father.
But if it wasn't for Amy...
of course, I don't know, he's still working, he's still fixing it. Even Amy and Alan have that cute, like, date night episode.
Yeah, but alright, in that cute date night episode, who does the most?
Yeah.
Exactly. That's all I'm saying. I'm like, but if we're gonna...
Worst?
If we're gonna, wait.
Like, Lenny would be worse than...
Dude, I was gonna Lenny was the next word out of my mouth.
Yo, Lenny should for 100% get this award. Yo, screw it. Lenny is the worst
Is the worst character. First of all, he's clearly written just... like, his whole, oh, hi, I'm Lenny. I work with you.
Yeah, just to remind the audience, for those who don't remember, Lenny is the assistant manager to Alan at the store. He makes, like, 3 or 4 appearances throughout the season. And
each
terrible
time, it's the
every
worst.
time. Because it's just the one gimmick of, hello, I'm Lenny. Yeah, we know who you are,
Yeah,
Lenny.
I mean, and it was funny the first time they did it.
I don't think it was funny the first time.
Well, I mean, like, it's kind of, remember when Eric and Morgan...
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah.
That's kind of funny. But by the time, like, it's just the thing, you're like, all right, this is like, again, TGIF basicness. It's basic.
Well, I also think that when you look at any show from a first season perspective, you want to try to keep it your core characters. It's only until you get to the second season where you start bringing in additional characters.
I'll give you that.
And for Alan to get a side character when Amy even hasn't had a full character.
I know, right? What's Amy's real estate business?
Yeah,
like?
who does she
report to? Yeah, that's a good point.
Have we ever seen her show a house? Have we ever even heard her say, "Hey, Corey, can you watch the kids while I go show a house?"
She does it to Eric. Literally, there's one episode.
Well, she only works one day a year, clearly. So this is a
no, but we've talked about this. I feel like Amy is actually the one who's like holding things down.
Yeah.
Because like they don't really give Amy that much credit, but I feel like every now and then Amy's the one, like she sells a house and that helps them meet all their bills.
Well, obviously, because Alan apparently is cutting it very thin with the bills. We've seen this multiple times.
Several times. All right.
Yeah. Wow.
So, all right, now our next segment is our graduation ceremony.
Graduation ceremony, because there are characters that will no longer be with the show. They have graduated from the series, and I think we should show our respect.
Exactly. So at the end of each season, what TC and I will do is we'll have a graduation ceremony where we talk about the individuals who were important during the season and we will not see again.
Now, keep in mind, because, like, obviously we haven't seen the next season, we're going based off of, like, the credits and things like that.
Right.
So, yeah, let's just go ahead and dive into this.
Okay, so first graduation ceremony is Third Seat Kid.
Which really should be Third Seat Kids. All of the Third Seat Kids who have filled in...
on that, and no, go ahead.
All the Third Seat Kids who were in there, who tried to, fill out the friendship grouping that the writers didn't know anything to do with. The kids that just served as just like the one comment to Corey and Sean. We appreciate you. We know you did hard work, and
so I just want to make sure that I shout this out because I told him that I would. One of our listeners, Josh, I don't want to get into everything because I don't know what you want me to tell people, but one of our listeners, Josh, did ask this question. He was like, at the end of the season, I want to know, rank your favorite Third Seat Kids.
Rank?
He said rank. And I have my favorite, but I also am prepared to rank. So let's do this.
Can we, as just you and I, just kind of discuss who the Third Seat Kids are? I need a reminder.
Okay, so we get original Third Seat Kid.
Original Third Seat
who's also
Bangs, right?
Bangs, and he's also in.
He's the one who dresses as Feeney in the.
Yeah, he dresses as Feeney in the first season. So there's him. Then we get Black Third Seat Kid.
Yep.
which you and I know.
Black third seat kid from the water gun episode.
Water
not
gun.
the basketball episode.
No, not basketball.
Okay.
Because that's a different that's second black third seat kid.
So second black third seat kid is...
So that's 3. And then there's a 4th one. Do you remember the 4th one?
4th, I feel like it's really early on.
It is. It's like early. Because remember, we were just
Do you know the episode off the top of your
Not
head?
at all. Not at all.
All right, I feel like we've listed these in the order.
Yeah, pretty much. By the way, that's exactly their ranking.
Yeah.
I mean, like, before we get into that, who was your top pick for third seat kid?
Curtains. This kid.
Dude, that was mine!
The kid, because of the episode where he dressed up as Feeney, I felt like we saw a bit more of his personality than we did anyone else. I also felt like he was in the most episodes as third seat kid.
I agree. And I think, if anything, he's my favorite third seat kid. Not because at first I was going to go black third seat kid. I'm going to pull a little Issa Rae. I'm rooting for everybody black.
Who ain't?
But I think...
If you ain't with us, you against us, fam.
You're an idiot. But, no, honestly... This third seat kid is the one with the most successful career, so I feel like he's honestly one of the ones who does like the best acting.
I felt like the show was considering him more than any of the other third seat.
Yeah, and he's in the more like he's even in that episode where like he doesn't speak, but like he's in the episode, and I was like, oh, third seat kid's here.
Probably had a line that got cut.
Probably, but I feel like you're right. He's also in the Anne Frank episode.
He is
as like He's the one who comes as Feeney, as we said. So I just felt like he earned it.
Yeah, to me, he's the best third seat kid, and luckily, with this next season, with all of the wonderful, amazing characters we're going to be introduced to, I'm so excited for second season characters. Mr. Turner alone, not to mention Harley and Frankie and Joey, like all of these characters.
I really love Frankie and Joey.
I love them, and even Frankie and Joey. I mean, they'll go on to kind of outlive Frankie in a way. I mean,
they do outlive Frankie. Like
no, they outlive Harley.
Harley.
But still, I think they're just such great additions, and their dynamic with Corey and Sean. I think of them feeling bullied versus being the bullies, and I think we've talked about that a bit.
We do this thing where we kind of like, we don't want to get in too much into it, but like we also get to this point where like Frankie and Joey are like
the Corey and Sean of the underworld.
Well, they are, which is a very good way of putting that.
Well, they say
that's
that.
How they say it. Yeah. Honestly, the way you said it, I was like, but like also like they have dimension to them. You know?
Well, yeah, for sure, and they flesh out those characters really well. More so Frankie than Joey, but still, it's great.
I love the participation that we're getting right now. Okay, so your favorite third seat kid and my favorite third seat kid are all the same.
So they've graduated. Thank you so much for your participation in the show. We appreciate you. Shout outs to you.
So graduation. Are you ready for this?
I'm not ready to say goodbye to this one.
We have to
I feel
say
like every
goodbye.
teacher, like at the end of every school year, like every teacher is really sad to say goodbye to one student.
Yes.
And for us, like...
that would be Minkus.
Stuart Minkus.
Stuart Minkus is, honestly, I think... For this season, like not even I think
he's the LeBron James of this season. He's VIPs. He's the VIP.
Stuart Minkus, Lee Norris in this season he does such a good job that he is synonymous with the rest of the series.
It's a 7-season show, bruh. He's in one season and synonymous with the brand.
Exactly,
bruh.
He does such a good job in this season that he is just, his name is equivalent, and it's like who else does that? Who else is in one season of a show and yet like just associated with every other thing?
And you know what's so interesting about this too is that Lee Norris as an actor, I think he's I've said this in multiple podcast episodes that he almost outshines a lot of the other actors in the roles in his episodes.
He does, yeah.
He steals scenes like crazy. I don't know why he was written out, but geez, he was just such an amazing character to have there.
Well, we've talked about this, and I feel like in our last episode we kind of hit on it, or at least the last episode of the season, and I really do feel that. If we're being honest, his character just had no place.
He gave all he could to the show in the characters.
Well, like, and just in middle school, it's like, middle school, Corey and Sean would not hang out with Minkus. Like, they had a reason to be around Minkus.
Because they were in the class.
But there's just no real reason to be around Minkus.
Also, real talk, he should be in advanced classes anyway.
He should be in advanced classes, which is important.
Which I think,
they kind of hit on. I think they hit on, like, when he does make his appearance in the later seasons. But then also, the only reason why Topanga, like, we spend a lot more time outside of the classroom.
Yes. And Topanga kind of takes over the Minkus role in a lot of ways. As being not so much like the I'm smarter than you, but just being the voice of reason when you have... She's the angel to Sean's devil on Corey's shoulder.
Correct. Exactly. And so I just don't think there was a place for him in the later seasons. But it is so sad to see him go because Minkus is just... He's a great foe for Sean. He's a great...
him and Sean's dynamic is the one I think I'm going to miss the most. I think he plays the best off of Sean.
I feel that when we're doing a school episode or a show that takes place in the classroom, you do need that nerd. You do need that person. But Lee Norris, just like from the very beginning, we talk about this. His back and forth with Sean, which I think the writers picked up on, where it was just like... Sean would say something that was supposed to cut Minkus down, and Minkus would just like hit it back and be like
he's always saying things
there's that scene where it's just like Minkus like would they do the impressions of each other? Where Sean's just like I can see you not in like 20 years. People, you gotta separate your receipts. And then Minkus is just like, I can see you in 20 years. Your Honor, I'd like to plead out. And it's just like, he does it so well. And it's a great foe for Sean in a way that we will definitely miss. Because honestly, if we're gonna be really honest, Minkus, he kind of becomes part of like the group and the foursome that they build in the first season, but Corey and Sean never really respect Minkus. And I think that that's kind of one of the reasons. Like, in order to learn from someone, you have to really respect them. Yeah. And they just don't. They kind of always disregard him.
Let me ask you this question, because you watched Girl Meets World, and I did not stick with Girl Meets World.
I did.
Girl Meets World decided to keep their Minkus.
They did.
How did that work for you?
Well, so what they do when they keep their Minkus is they make their Minkus
cooler,
a little bit more Sean.
Yeah, they have to.
And that's the thing. It's just like exactly. He does not remain. To be fair, he grows and he learns, and it's very natural. His progression. It's not like out of nowhere. But there is this struggle of identity of being like I'm the smartest person in this class. I'm weird and I'm out of place. But my friends, and the difference is they accept Farkas, which is his name. Yeah. They accept him as a friend. The way the girls do in Girl Meets World. Whereas Minkus was never accepted as a friend of Corey and Sean's. You know what I mean? He was someone that they turned to, but they never really accepted him.
Can I ask you, do you feel like they could have matured, like Stuart Minkus, if they could have evolved him to adapt to the new season 2?
Because this is the 90s now. Now, I feel like it would happen. Now, I feel like we're way more reluctant to get rid of characters that work. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's like, they would have, like, I mean, like, if you, anyone who's watched Modern Family, and Haley's boyfriend, I can't even remember. Yes. He has, like, been around for season after season. And it's just, honestly, it's because he's a fan favorite. Yeah. I mean, he doesn't make sense for the series as much. Or her. But he's a fan favorite, so they found ways to bring him in. And I think that that's kind of what we would do now with Minkus, but is that good? You know, it's like sometimes you do just, I mean, if we're being realistic, you outgrow people. You don't see the same people that you saw. And the final segment of this episode is the Bruh Award. We never came up with a better name, did we?
No, we didn't. But I think this is in line with what we've talked about.
The bruh award.
The bruh moment, the bruh award, the moment that made us just go, bruh. Like, the most culturally relevant moment of the show.
Exactly. Which is, for those who, I mean, by now you should know, but like, the whole purpose of Bruh Meets World was exactly us being like, all right, what elements of this show still hold up? For those who couldn't see, TC pointed to his skin. What elements of this show for two black kids still held relevant and still were impactful and dealt with things that we still deal with? So this award is the moment that you felt was most relevant for 2018. And what's your answer?
You know what? I know I've already brought this episode up. I'm going to have to go back to it. To me, it's Teacher's Pet.
Okay.
It's at the end of the episode where he says,
You have to read this book. And you have to pass this test. Not because of me, but because when someone calls someone else a bad name, it's not good that just that one person jumps up. We all have to jump up.
To me, I was like, bruh, this is...
Preach!
Air this now, please. ABC, where you at? So that was my moment.
So for me, and maybe it was because like in the episode itself, I talked about that I had just read the new Jim Crow.
Yeah.
And my selection is The Fugitive. The Fugitive for me is so relevant.
Well, you had a lot of problems with that episode.
So the reason why I chose that episode is not because of what that episode means in its time, but it brought up the most relevant conversation to us.
It really did. Yeah, really.
And that was something that I wanted to bring in. It was like that episode, when we watched that episode after reading the new Jim Crow, it brought in this conversation of who is allowed to be a child, who's allowed to make mistakes, how do we talk about criminals in this country?
Yeah.
You have to go home, Sean. You can't run away.
Yes, I can. Just get away from the door.
Sean! I'm not moving.
What do you want from me?
I want you to come back on my side of the line.
How am I supposed to do that?
Just go home.
Parents are going to ground me for like a year.
Well then, I'll see you in a year.
Yeah.
It was just so relevant, and then now, when it gets to a point where it's like you can't hold a shower head without getting shot, it's like it really is important to discuss what happens. When you get into trouble at that age.
And we did have a really great discussion for that episode. I think that was my favorite of our episodes, actually.
Exactly. Well,
because for that reason.
We haven't really got into it, but one of my favorite episodes from us is literally this episode is whack. Go watch Black Panther.
Go watch Black Panther. Yeah.
Wakanda Forever.
I love those episodes where we're both just hating the episode the entire time. It's just a shared hatred for the episode.
Exactly. All right, so Final grades. Okay, so we actually have a discussion. We've come to a conclusion. We did all the math. We did the GPA. Mm-hmm. I did everything on a graded scale. And the episode, the season one actually comes down
Boy Meets World
to a 79. A 79.6, if we want to be honest. So I was in favor of rounding up, but TC is like,
nope, that's the grade it deserves. That's about as good as the season was almost a B.
Yeah, exactly. And you know what? Because of that, I will totally give to you and say that
C+ season.
It was a C+ season. Honestly, it could have been better. I think it definitely gets better.
I think if you look at the series as a whole, if you ask people nowadays what they remember from the first season of anything, the only memorable thing is Minkus.
Not Minkus. We have a few. You and I talk about it numerous times. There are a few moments where you're like, oh, I remember this.
But if you're not saying specifically season 1, that you just were to go up to the average fan and talk to them about Boy Meets World, would they mention anything from the first season?
Topanga, when they kiss. I mean,
maybe.
the episode where they kiss and Boy Meets Girl, those are so iconic, and you and I both talked about the glove episode.
Yeah, that is true.
I don't know why, because like when I think about it, like the criminal episode is so much more impactful as his teacher pet. But we were both like, oh, I remember this episode about the gloves.
What's the episode? And I forget. It is in season 1, right? Where Topanga comes over and she does the
makeup thing?
Yeah, Donut in the Sky.
Donut in the Sky. That's Alternative Friends.
Is it?
Yeah,
Okay.
But I'm just saying, like, if we're gonna talk about it, it's just like we
fair grade.
We were at a 79, so it's almost there on being a good. But yeah. So all right, so that was our season recap.
Again, I thought this was a pretty good season. I think this is a great jumping off point for the rest of the show. And I think that's my main takeaway from this first season, is that we're in a position where we can really see these characters grow. Now that we know Corey's overall mindset, how he sees the world, his worldview, to see that be challenged by all of the new characters of season 2 is going to be super interesting. Then just going to a new environment, being in a new place.
High school.
You know, what I do remember from season 2, episode 1, is that there's the Odyssey theme, which I think the show really starts...
Are you serious?
Yeah, the Odyssey. And then
I don't remember this at all.
They're learning the Odyssey while Corey's going...
Well, don't give too much away. We have the entire first episode.
But to me, the show really starts to find its voice of pairing traditional educational elements with the overall learning about life.
Unlike this season, where it's literally just like anything we want to do, it's just like tied into.
It's just their voice gets a little stronger. So I'm really excited for that.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so that was our season. Thank you guys so much for listening to us once again. If you want to, make sure you follow us on Twitter and Facebook at Bruh Meets World. Email us at bruhmeetsworld@gmail.com. You can find me on Twitter at Extra Ceej. That's XTRACEEJ. Tony Curtis, where are you at?
Oh, you can find my abandoned Twitter, Anna Kendrick retweets, Anna Kendrick RT, where I used to retweet Anna Kendrick tweets for about a year and have slowed off from that.
That's literally your only job, is to retweet someone else. How do you not do that?
It became too much. I'll get back to it. I'll slide back in. Other than that, you can find me on Instagram at BraverMe. And you can also find me here doing season 2 with this fool.
All right, yeah, we are really excited for you guys to come back. Thank you so much for everyone who's been following us. We really, truly appreciate it. Remember, you can listen to us on iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify.
I mean, they should remember that, but isn't there something more important they should remember, Ceej?
You should always remember to dream,
try,
and do good.
Dream, try, and do good, guys.
All right, thank you guys so much for joining us.
Later, bro.
Season 1.
Peace.